All right, let's see if we can piss off some fellow game collectors here. Scott D asks, what are your thoughts on sealed games and collectors who focus on them? Well, I have a lot to say about this. I do have some sealed games in my collection, and as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm not a huge fan of sealed games. I wouldn't go so far to say that I hate them, but they definitely mock me. And I have some specific examples of games that are mocking me in my collection that I'm going to show you here in a second. The first thing I would say, though, is that I believe that video games are an art form, and they should be preserved like any other art form, whether it's movies or music. It's a reason why I have so many complete in-box games in my collection, and that's why I prefer that. Because, yes, you can download the game or you can get on Steam or whatever, but there's something to be said for the box art, both the front and the back, and how it was packaged, what is put inside of it, the manuals, the little feelies, the little extras, the catalogs. I love all that stuff. And so I consider that to be part of the complete experience. It's what I love so much about collecting. Now, you could say, though, that having sealed games in your collection is the ultimate way to preserve those, and I think that is true. If you are going to try to recreate the experience of going into a retail store, finding that game in pristine condition, and pulling it off the shelf and taking it home, that's the best way to do it, I guess. The thing for me, though, is that I really love opening these boxes and looking at them, and it's just part of the experience. Now, I do remember very vividly a couple years ago, I was searching on YouTube and I found a collector. I don't know if his video is there anymore, but he had a complete PlayStation 2 collection that was sealed. Now, that's crazy talk because there are several thousand PlayStation 2 games, and to find them sealed, I think is just amazing. I mean, I was very impressed that he did that because it's so expensive. You would pay, there might be a rare game that's open that you would pay much more for a completely sealed version of that. And the other thing too is you would end up getting sealed versions of sports titles and educational games and stuff that you would just never really care about. It's such a challenge to do that. So it's certainly not for me. Also, there are collectors out there that collect both. So they collect doubles. They'll have a version that is sealed, and then they'll have an open play copy. But again, in my scenario, man, I already have a ton of stuff on the walls here. I can't imagine doubling it just to have sealed games. That's crazy. I have no desire to do that. I think the only way to do that is to focus on one particular system and then go for that. But man, it's just absolutely not for me. And so I'm going to tell you why. So for instance, I do have some sealed games in my collection. The first one I want to mention is the Elder Scrolls Legend Battlespire. If you are going for a complete Elder Scrolls collection, you need to have two really hard to find games. And one of those is Battlespire. The other one is on the N-Gage. Battlespire didn't review well, didn't sell well, and you can find copies on eBay that are the disc only, but to find it in the box complete is pretty unusual. To find it sealed is practically unheard of. Now, this was sent to me by a fan of the show, and by all means, I'm not complaining. It was very cool that that person did that. But this is my only copy, and I'd love to tear it open and poke around inside, but I don't have a really good reason to do that because the value of this and the rarity would just immediately go out the window. I can go and buy this game digitally off of GOG.com and play it if I wanted to. But part of me is like, oh man, I'm one of the few people in the world that has a sealed copy of this game. It's so unusual. And so it sits in my collection mocking me. Now, I could open it. I could open it right now on camera, and probably nobody would really care. But I don't know. And the other thing is too, is that it's not like I'm going to sell it. I have no plans to sell any of these games, but I do feel as someone who does love the art form that I do have a bit of responsibility there. So I haven't opened this, but it mocks me. So another game that mocks me for different reasons is Fallout 2. This was also, again, sent to me by a fan. Thank you so very much. They offered to send this to me because they had it in their collection. This one is really interesting. This one mocks me for different reasons. I owned and played this game back when it first came out and then threw away the box years ago like an idiot. But I played it, so I don't really have a strong desire to rip it open. But the contents of the Fallout games are pretty cool because the manuals are awesome. Usually they have a lot of illustrations and humor in them, and so part of me is tempted to open this one just to get the manual again. But then again, it's a sealed copy. It's like, oh, you know, is it worth me cracking this open to look at the manual for half an hour and then put it back on the shelf? You know, I don't know. I mean, can anybody relate to this? Again, I'm not complaining. It's just kind of funny, right? Another one that I got, which is a little bit unusual, that is Doom 2. What's unusual about this is that Doom 2 was packaged with a PC gamepad. I have never seen this before, and it's sealed, it's unopened. Now, I don't know if this is particularly rare or not, but I do think it's kind of unusual. Part of me would love to cut this open and then just look and see what's inside of it. Like, for instance, I don't know how Doom 2 is packaged in here. Is it a complete box? Is it in a DVD case? Is it just a CD case? I have no idea. It could be in a paper sleeve for all I know. But this one's mocking me because I'd love to rip it open and sort of take a look at it. But again, it's like, well, it's so unusual. Is it worth doing? So I don't know. So it sits in my collection this way. The next one mocks me for a much different reason. So I often mention in my videos that I worked at Sierra. And the reason why I do that is because it was a great time to be there. And specifically because I was in a game. I am actually in Shivers 2. This is an adventure game that has full motion video. And this game is about a band, and I play guitar in it. So it was pretty funny, like, you know, you think about that bad 90s full motion video, think of me. Because I'm in one of those games, and this is it. Now, what's funny about it is that I was at a Half Price Books and in their software section, and I saw this. Now, I already owned a copy of it, but this made me laugh because someone bought it and didn't even bother to open it. Like, this game did not sell well. It reviewed okay, but again, it was a pretty low seller, so probably somebody bought this and either got busy or just didn't even care. And so I laughed because I'm like, oh man, okay, well, I have to own that because for one, it's like, that should be back, you know, back with Papa. And so that's why I have a sealed copy of Shivers 2. I also have some other stuff that's sealed. Behind me here, I have a sealed Zelda. That's a lunch box from the Wii that has some gloves in it and things like that. That would be kind of cool to tear into and play around with. But again, it's like, you know, you have to make that choice. What's the value versus the half an hour I would play around with it? I don't know. I feel like I'm 10 years old or something like that, but that's just kind of the craziness of game collecting. So, but that's how I feel about sealed games. In general, I absolutely do not seek them out. Often, if there's two versions of a game, I will always go for the open one. Usually it's cheaper. And again, I'm going to want to open it, and I just know myself, and I don't want to be tempted to do so. So at the end here, I'm kind of curious to know what you guys think about collecting sealed games. Do you like it? Do you not? The other thing I was also going to ask about is VGA grading. That's a whole other subject into itself, but it often plays into it. So what sometimes people do who have really pristine copies of games, they'll get them VGA graded, which is a third-party company that then grades the quality of it. And in my experience, that's typically for sale. That's someone who is looking to potentially sell it down the line, and therefore they want that third party to grade it. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think about that. Again, I have never done that. I have no desire to do that, but I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are. So, all right, man, great question. Thank you. This question was asked by one of my Patreon contributors who help support my YouTube channel and help shape the content of my videos. In addition to asking questions like this, they also get access to a private chat, an audio podcast, and early access to most of my Friday videos. You can also set the amount you want to contribute, and you can leave or change it at any time. If you'd like to help support my videos and become part of the Metal Militia,
please go to patreon.com/MetalJesusRocks.